Now, the Gauteng Community Safety MEC, Faith Mazibuko, has called on all women in the province to march to the High Court in the Union buildings in Pretoria on Women's Day to highlight the country's high rape statistics. Mazibuko was speaking at the launch of Women's Month in Mabopane, north of Pretoria. This is in the wake of the gang rape of 8 women, allegedly by illegal minors in Krugersdorp last week. Mazibuko says that women are perpetually being targeted. Now, for more on this, we're now joined by Reverend Bafana Khumalo, who's the co-executive director at Sonke Gender Justice. Reverend, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Do you know, I feel like we have the same conversations over and over and over again without much progress being made. This time last year, we were having this conversation, and it's just come at the same time, sadly, as this gang rape that's really elevated a story that happens every day. How do we navigate these waters at this time?
Well, Peter, it's sad indeed, that we almost seem to be running around the same route all the time. It's sad because in the Krugersdorp story, the community indicates they reported this in February and nothing was done. Now we are facing 8 women who have had to undergo the most traumatic experience of their lives. Really, we need, accountability from government. Why is it that when this matter was reported in February, nothing was done? Really, somebody must be held accountable for this because they have put lives of women at risk when they knew that these episodes were happening in West Village. So I can't say much except to call again for accountability from government. Why is it that our criminal justice system, our crime intelligence is literally sleeping on duty? You know, if the community says we are under siege, we are being raped, we have almost a curfew that has been instituted by crime syndicates, and yet government has done nothing. And this is really an indictment on our government.
All right, so help us understand. I mean, citizens might be thinking, particularly here in Gauteng, the Gauteng Community Safety MEC is asking people to march to High Court and to union buildings against gender-based violence. But isn't it the job of the Community Safety MEC to protect our women from this violence?
Well, Peter, this is the joke of the century, that we are now seeing members of the ruling party calling on society to march against the government in which they are in power. I mean, really, I don't know what they are trying to communicate to us. That, in fact, this country is on autopilot, as it were, because nobody is in charge. For the MEC to call on the community to march to court when she is in charge of safety and security in the province is really a laughable call, to be honest. And unfortunately, these are serious matters and we cannot laugh because they are affecting lives of human beings. I think really, we are facing here massive leadership failure. No amount of marching in this instance called for by those that are failing to do their duty is going to ensure that women and girls are safe in this country. What we need is political action, is accountability, is ensuring that there's implementation of the policies that have been set in place, that government officials do their job. Because as taxpayers, we are paying them to do this job. So when they call us to go and march for what? When they are failing to do their job. What the MEC should be saying is that I am failing to do my job, therefore I'm offering my resignation so that we really as a community find other options to resolve these matters. That is the level at which this situation has deteriorated.
Let's talk about the community because, yes, there is definitely an element of criminality where the gender-based violence is perpetrated by people unknown to the victim, but a large percentage of the gender-based violence are done by people we know. And I just wonder, as a society, we know who's doing it. They are our brothers, they are our fathers, they are our uncles. Why is it as a community, as a society, we're not taking action against those people who we call our own?
You know, Peter, on the contrary, the people in West Village will tell you that we do arrest these people, citizens arrest. We go to the police, we give them intelligence. Sometimes we even hand over the people that were caught, you know, committing these acts. The community will tell you, barely a day or so, these guys are out in the streets. In fact, when you report, the community tells us that when you report, then the criminals come after you because they know who reported them.
Right.
So really we have a dysfunctional system here. I hear the police calling about the need for the collaboration with the communities. Communities are already doing that.
Okay.
You know, what more can they do?
All right, that's the criminal part, and I accept that, and I think for sure we need the protection of the police. But there's also the man who hits his wife. He has a brother, he has a parent, and we know that this goes on in these houses. How do we fix that? Because that's within our power.
Well, I think for that, Peter, we need to hold each other accountable. I argue that when violence against women happens, somebody either witnesses or hears or gets the aftermath of what have happened. Because unfortunately, gender-based violence is not silent. You know, when women are attacked, you hear the screams, you see the blue eyes, you see the effects of what that has happened. The failure here is about us men particularly. You know, we are failing to hold each other accountable. We find excuses for perpetrators by always asking questions that are irrelevant. You know, why did he have to do this? She must have done something to him. There can be no justification for violence. Now, when we continue, you know, to proffer such statements, we are actually in collaboration with the perpetrators of violence. And I think we need to make a very strong call for all of us as men in society that we must say not in our name, but not only in utterances, and also hold each other accountable. Because Peter, truth be told, we know who does this, as we have said in your statement. Why is it that we are still able to say, Peter is my friend, even when I know the things that you do to your partner, to your children? We need to say this is not acceptable. I will not, for instance, sit and have a drink with you, knowing the kinds of things that you are doing. I will not be associated with you in any manner, shape, or form, because I know the kind of person that you are. So that indeed we isolate these kinds of behaviors in society, because so long as we look the other way, we are making it permissible for those that are committing these acts to say it is acceptable to do this. And I think the courage needs to emerge from all of us to say this is not acceptable. We need to call our friends out, we need to call our brothers out, we need to call our fathers out when they are doing things that do not represent what we understand manhood is about.
Is there a psyche in society that needs healing, that makes it okay for men to think that this is fine and for them to be able to get away with it? And I just wonder if there isn't a bigger story about national healing, a changing of a national psyche. I don't know whether it's patriarchy that we see so much misogyny coming through. What is out there that on a bigger scale that we need to reverse?
I think we need a combination of efforts. Yes, we do need healing. People have gone through a lot of trauma in their own personal lives. But there's also a need for, accountability, so that those that are going through some of these challenges, anger management issues, they must come forward so that indeed they can be taken through the process, that they can deal with whatever it is that they are confronting. The challenge we have in our society is that people report cases of violence, and 2 days later, many people are pleading, no, he's such a nice guy, we know him. And when we continue to do that, we are actually excusing men from being held accountable. We need to be able to say, if indeed you are committed to change, we will support you as a community, but you need to go for counseling. You need to commit that you are not going to do these things, so that you indeed show that you are willing to take the steps to change from the trauma that you are visiting on those that are close to you. I think at the moment we are giving people free rein, that when they do these things, there's no accountability. And that becomes a problem. Now, healing for me will not happen when the person that is actually, at the center of perpetuating violence is not willing to face up to the demons that are confronting him in order that he does the things that he does. It requires an acknowledgement that I am wrong in what I'm doing. This is not acceptable, but I'm willing to change. And then people can reach out and we can extend a hand and say, fine, now that you have acknowledged, let's see how we can help you. Let's walk this journey with you and commit to walk this journey. Healing is not about, I've bought flowers, I've said I'm sorry, I've brought a present, and we can then continue with life, because that doesn't help. We know that few months, few weeks down the line, the cycle begins all over again. There's a need really for a serious commitment by those that are committing these acts to say, I need help and I need it now, and I'm committed to walk the path, so that those that are willing to help me, I am available and I'm committed to make the change.
Reverend Khumalo, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much indeed for sharing those sobering thoughts with us, and let's hope that we keep speaking it until the penny drops. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you. All right, that's Reverend Bafana Khumalo, who's the co-executive director at Sonke Gender Justice, speaking to us ahead of Women's Day.